Good morning and welcome to episode 8 of the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. Our middle and high school students are preparing for the big art and choir showcase that's coming up on November 3rd at Liberty High School. So we'll spend much of this show spotlighting the fine arts. Today, we'll visit with Southside High School and band director David Sinclair. So we'll discuss the growth of fine arts at the middle and high school levels, the impact of the mass band initiative, and what the competition season has been like for the Marching Hawks. So let's welcome in David Sinclair. Mr. Sinclair, welcome to the JMCSS podcast for the district.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Mr. Sinclair, you are preparing. Can I call you David? Is that okay? Can I call you David?
Yeah, feel free. Yeah.
All right. The kids aren't around. We'll just go by first names right now. So, David, you're entering your 6th year at Southside High School as band director, correct?
That is right.
So, provide us with some context. I know just a few weeks ago, I got to see you all perform with Northside High School at a football game. So that was really cool. So I would assume that over the last 5 years, a lot of progress has been made, particularly in the size of the band. So if you would just kind of start us off with an overview about where the band has progressed during your time there at Southside.
Well, when I came into the program, it was not super small, but it got smaller over the course of 2 years, which is typical when you have a director change. But then oddly enough, during the COVID years, we actually grew a little bit, where a lot of programs around our area and the country saw a serious decline. And then these past couple of years, as we kind of came out of COVID, we've seen a significant growth. And I think maybe it's students really wanting to be involved in something and be connected in some way to something that they can feel like they belong to. So it's been really nice to see that growth happening when it really logically should not happen that way. But it's been great for us.
We're visiting with David Sinclair. He's the band director at Southside High School. Southside and Northside and many of our other high schools are preparing for the big Veterans Day parade that's coming up in November. Mr. Sinclair, David, tell us about the Veterans Day parade and what you all are doing as a group to prepare for that performance.
Well, we're getting ready to perform in the Veterans Day parade on November 12th, and it's going to be the entire JMCSS mass band, which includes all of the high schools, many students to come together and combine and do that. So we've been working individually on the music in our band rooms, and then working on our marching in parade form. And then coming up the week of the 12th, we'll actually get together and put everybody in a massive parade block and practice this really just for 2 hours. That's all the preparation that we'll get. And then we show up on the day of the parade and kind of run through it. And then we do the gig. So exciting stuff.
I was talking with Christy White, one of our district coordinators for fine arts. And she was just telling me how the numbers have grown. I think you guys were hovering around 90. You're well over 100 now in the mass band. Talk about the pros and cons. I know it's a lot of fun, but the difficulty, because not only do the kids have to play and learn the music, but they also have to march. And I don't guess that's something you just necessarily show up and do. So talk about the pros and cons, the fun, and then the difficulty you have to work through.
Well, I think the pros, the students get to hear other musicians around them and maybe get to hear others, like maybe another school has a bigger section of a certain instrument and they get to hear more of that. They also get to just hear other strong players. And as far as the cons, it's, we as band directors, even though we may be all effective in what we're doing, we do things a little bit differently. Maybe we count off the song differently, or we do, the drum stuff a little bit differently. And so we have to really coordinate and communicate. And even when we plan for that, we get together and it's like, oh, wait, how do we do this together? because we're so used to being in our own lane and doing things our own way. So it's a con in the sense that you have to figure it out, but it's also a pro because you're collaborating and trying to make things work together. And I think probably the most challenging thing is to get everybody on the same page, marching together and staying in line and just paying attention musically and trying to get, like you said, 90 and now well over 100 students, because we're going to have a lot of additional students this time around. So it's going to make it an interesting challenge to make all that work at the same time.
We're visiting with David Sinclair. He's the band director at Southside High School. A little later, we'll speak with some of the band students there at Southside. Mr. Sinclair, being a Southside grad myself, being born and raised in Bemis, you don't really know it till you step out of it, but people always say, there's that South Jackson bubble. And so thinking back to the first mass performance, there was the mass band, but then Southside played on its own. And so I know there's some type of switch you have to flip in terms of it is okay to branch out. So talk about that, just the idea of kind of stepping out of that bubble a little bit, and I guess taking on the whole mass band idea. I'm sure it was some thoughts or ideas that had to change. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I mean, and I think I quickly fell into that thing about, the South Side kind of felt like it was its own territory down here, admittedly. And I had a lot of, personal ownership and feelings about wanting things to be us. And this is South Side representing ourselves. But the more the collaborative efforts have happened, and with Christy White coming in as our fine arts coordinator, really just kind of helped me to see the benefits of doing some things more collaboratively. And it also really benefits us and helps us because it doesn't all just rely on my students or me as a director, and we can rely and lean on each other. And again, I think probably the most positive aspect that I've seen is just students getting to see other students and be around them, and directors being around other directors and seeing how things are done differently, and breaking down those barriers, as I've mentioned before.
I've heard a lot of people compliment the superintendent, our superintendent, Dr. Marlon King, for putting a structure in place, a district supervisor for fine arts, not only in the performing arts, but also when you think about drawing and painting. And I know it's been very productive. And I think back on, you all had a middle school day. It was, I guess, a beginning band day. Again, another collaborative effort, and that was held at Northside High School. Tell us about that collaborative day you had to really, I guess it was an interest meeting and a training for your middle school and your feeder programs. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, it was a good way to get students on the same page early, because a lot of times in the beginning they're waiting on instruments, and like if they order an instrument or try to rent an instrument, it can be weeks before they actually start playing. And so it was a good little quick start to kind of get them going from the beginning. And as well as, if you're a middle school band director, you don't have an assistant. So you're having to teach like 10 different instruments every day to a lot of times they're in the same class, or there's 4 or 5 instruments in the same class. And so that's a challenge in and of itself, but also the fact that we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. I'm a percussionist or a drummer, if you want to say that. And somebody might play trumpet, somebody plays saxophone. So if you get all of the minds together, then you can leverage those skills and really specialize out and allow the students to get that specialist talking to them.
That was the bell you heard in the background. I think we're going to keep it. We might fix it in post-production. We might keep it. Who knows? We're visiting with David Sinclair. He's the band director at Southside High School. So after this commercial break, we'll visit with some of his students. And tell you what, a treat for you going to commercial break. Let's listen to some of this performance. It was the Southside Band and the Northside Band performing together during the Commissioner's Cup football game, South Side versus North Side. So you're listening to For the District on JJ 97.7 FM. Welcome back to episode 8 of the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. We're continuing our spotlight of the fine arts. We're visiting with Southside High School. We've talked with a band director, David Sinclair, and now we're going to speak with a trio of Southside seniors. And let me cue my notes back up. Mr. Sinclair, while I'm queuing up my notes, introduce the students for me.
Okay, well, we've got Sarah Wheeler, Maxwell White, and KG Calloway, all percussionists and seniors for our band.
Very good. Sarah, let's start with you. What's it been like to be a member of the Southside High School Band?
Well, it's really fun. You get to learn new things all the time and make new memories with everybody. So,
speaking of new memories, Maxwell, last year was the first year, I believe, of the mass band initiative. And then this year, you guys performed with Northside High School at the football game, preparing for the Veterans Day parade. So what's that experience been like for you?
Well, it was fun. I like to play with the other band students, get to know them and stuff, and see how they play. And it was just good playing with other band students and stuff.
What would you say, Maxwell, is the best part about being in the band?
Me playing, doing my own thing.
Awesome. We're visiting with band students, percussionist at Southside High School, KG Calloway. So she's making history. KG, you're making history. The first former student of mine, one semester before COVID shut school down. KG had AV production or broadcasting. So KG, what's it like being in the band?
It's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of great people doing it and then just have a bunch of amazing experiences doing all of the stuff that we do during band.
True or false, the percussion, coolest section in the band?
100% true.
Okay, you got to give me some facts. Give me one reason why percussion is the best section in the band.
We get to play a lot more instruments because there's a lot of instruments in the percussion section.
How difficult or how much of a challenge has it been preparing for the mass band performance? Because I know, you prepare for your Friday night show, your competition show, but then you also prepare for the mass band performances. You all participated in the bicentennial parade, the Veterans Day Parade last year. You're going to participate in the Veterans Day Parade again. So in your own words, KG, you take this and then Sarah follow up. What's been the biggest challenge?
Probably getting time to practice with the other bands because we're all from different schools. So it has to be like, okay, well, what day are we all going to meet up and where are we meeting?
How about you, Sarah? What would you say has been one of the biggest challenges?
I agree with KG with the part of where like getting together with the other bands and like actually like practicing and stuff because everybody either has work or has like school stuff they need to do, so it's like kind of hard for everybody to get together.
We're visiting with members of the Southside High School Band. We're spotlighting the fine arts. A reminder that the JMCSS district-wide Art and Choir Showcase is coming up on November 3rd at Liberty High School. So, Maxwell, Sarah, KG, are you all, do you all participate in other activities on campus in addition to fine arts?
Yes.
Tell us about some of those events, clubs.
And all the theater stuff. I work backstage in it.
How about you, Maxwell?
Well, I tried out for track, but I quit because the workout is too much and work. It's too much. But besides that, I just did band.
Hey, you gave it a try and you're in band. That's great. Sarah, how about you? What other things are you interested in there at Southside?
I'm not really interested in a lot of stuff. I just like band doing it. So.
And I'm sure Mr. Sinclair appreciates that because he doesn't have to compete with the other program. So, KG, you bring up a good point. I remember as a teacher getting students to participate in Hawk TV. There were also the students who were in yearbook. They also participated in theater. And so how do you kind of, when you're a talented student, how do you make up your mind and time management, as far as what you're going to do, because you only have, that one high school experience. How do you make up your mind?
You just decide like, okay, well, what things am I super passionate about and I want to continue with? For me, that was band and theater. So I've been doing both of them all of my years here.
And you guys are preparing for Robin Hood, correct? Is it Robin Hood?
Yep, Robin Hood.
Yeah. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. In closing, let me ask you, class of 2023, do you have any advice for 8th graders preparing for high school? Advice for 8th graders preparing for high school. I'm sure Mr. Sinclair wants to tell them to join the band. Is that your advice for the 8th graders, Mr. Sinclair?
Absolutely. They need to be connected. They need to be involved in the band program because they will not regret it.
Sarah, what advice would you have for 8th graders preparing for high school in general, whether it's for band, ROTC, sports, or any of those extracurricular activities? Advice.
I would say go for it. You never know what you might like until you try it.
Maxwell, advice for 8th graders as you prepare to enter the final semester of your senior year.
Make sure you have yourself together before you come and do, because I know a lot of kids do a lot of sports and down in middle school that they can't really do here because they do like 3 or 4, 5. There we go, but here you can only do 2. That's what the coaches allow. But just make sure you have yourself prepared.
KG, advice for 8th graders.
Put yourself out there and get involved because there are a lot of fun things you can do in high school. So you might as well make it the best experience you can.
Members of the Southside High School Band, we want to thank David Sinclair for joining us, along with Sarah Wheeler, Maxwell White, and KG Calloway, seniors in the percussion. And I'm being told I have time for one final question. So if you all would quickly tell me about what the competition season has been like. And I know there are several awards back there behind you. I know they've been collected over the years, but I know you all have collected some hardware this year. So, Sarah, tell me about some of the competitions you've been in this year.
The competitions are really fun and it's I can't English.
I'll tell you what. Hey, how about this? We'll let Mr. Sinclair speak first. Mr. Sinclair, tell us about competition season, and then we'll let KG or Maxwell chime in. Mr. Sinclair.
Well, we've not been competing the past 2 years because of COVID-related issues, but we wanted to get back into the saddle this year, and so we've had a little bit of a lighter load just to kind of get back into it. But we had 3 competitions, and I think the bright spots for us, our color guard placed well in a couple of competitions. Got second place. Our percussion got second place in a couple of those as well, which was really nice. And then the consensus from a lot of the judges that have judged us at competitions is that our sound has been good, and we sound good musically. And I think that was a nice little pat on the back and encouraging comments from a lot of different people.
KG, Maxwell, it's your senior year, your final competition season. How would you wrap that up and describe it?
An amazing experience, getting to meet a bunch of people.
Maxwell, was it fun?
Yeah, it was fun besides being hot.
The cost of success. Southside High School band director David Sinclair. We're joined also by Sarah Wheeler, Maxwell White, and KG Calloway, seniors at Southside High School. They participate in the band. Also, be on the lookout for the theater production at Southside High School of Robin Hood. Mr. Sinclair, Southside seniors, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of For the District.
Thank you for having us.
We will take a quick time out and hear a word from our district cyber school, Jackson Academic STEAM Academy. JASA has expanded its partnership with Union University. It's sure to be a game changer for virtual and homeschool families who choose us. Take a listen.
I am Dr. Josie Curry, Principal and Head of School for Jackson Academic STEAM Academy. Jackson Academic STEAM Academy is the first virtual school to partner with Union University in a dual enrollment program.
As a high school junior, being chosen to participate in the Union JASA dual enrollment program is a huge honor. While it is so much different than high school, I'm learning so much, and I know it will make me a successful full-time college student in a couple of years.
I'm Dub Oliver, president of Union University. We have an opportunity to help other school systems see how to do a virtual academy, how to do it with excellence, how to do it well. So students at JASA can take classes at Union, and beyond that can be involved as students at Union.
Union University has partnered with Jackson Academic STEAM Academy to ignite innovation for all of our students. Just one more reason for all families to choose Jackson-Madison County Schools.
2 quick notes before we go away. Congratulations to the girls soccer team at Madison Academic. The Lady Mustangs advanced to the state soccer tournament for the 2nd year in a row. Also, congratulations to the girls and boys cross-country teams at Madison. They've advanced to the state cross-country meet. And if you remember from our podcast last week, if you do the math, that's now 15 years in the last 16 years that Madison has competed in the state level in cross country. Simply amazing. So congratulations. We want to thank you for listening to episode 8 of the JMCSS podcast for the district. We want to remind you that this podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. You can listen to this episode on demand on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. I'm Greg Hammond. So long, and we'll see you next week.